Really excited about this webinar. So thank you for making time to get together with us today. I think that it's, a beautiful spring day here in New England, and so I feel like there's always a breath of optimism in the air. And I think with everything going on in the world, we all need a little optimism, and hopefully people are starting to feel like we're ready to turn the corner here. The intent and purpose of this webinar is to really help educate people a little bit more about what it's like to work with a recruitment advertising agency. And you could certainly believe that is self-serving for us as a recruitment advertising agency. But I think what we've found over time is that, we still encounter people in 2021 that have never worked with a recruitment ad agency, aren't sure of the fundamentals and how it actually operates. And our goal here today is to give you an opportunity to meet a few of our Clixers. That's what we call ourselves at HireClix. We're Clixers here. So I'm going to bounce to the first slide and show you kind of, this is what we're hoping to achieve, and these are the questions that we want to have you walk away from this webinar with answers. So we're going to try and go through all of these, and I've got three very special Clixers on the line here that'll have been with us for some time, and I'll let them do introductions. So we're going to start ladies first with Nicole Rechenmacher. So Nicole, could you kick us off and do a little bit of background on yourself and how long you've been a Clixer and all that kind of good stuff?
Yeah, all good stuff. Thanks, Neil. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I think we have some UKers online too. I'm Nicole Rechenmacher. You can just call me Nicole. I'm part of the sales development and strategy team here at HireClix. I was just looking this morning, and I've been in the recruitment advertising world for about 14 years now, which is just kind of crazy to say out loud. And I've spent the last 5 here at HireClix. I sit in the Bay Area, so startups and gig economy clients are close to my heart here, but I also love helping support our really complex talent acquisition partners. So welcome, and thank you guys for joining us. I'm gonna kick it over to Mr. Doug.
Hi, I'm Mr. Doug. Greetings from Asbury Park, New Jersey. My name is Doug Kerken. I am about a 21-year veteran of the recruitment, marketing, and HR technology industry. Spent a lot of my time in job boards, working mostly with Toby most of my career. We have a little bit of experience building SEO sites, hosting live career fairs. We even spent some time in the Google and Amazon cloud together. I've been with HireClix now for almost 7 years. My role is business development, strategy, account manager. I'm really trying to get into the weeds with my clients. Some of those, include financial services companies, recycling companies. I have a lot of call center clients too. So working all over the board, and I really appreciate you guys having me on this webinar. And I'm going to pass it over to Mr. Toby.
Thank you very much, Doug. As Doug mentioned, 21 years. Has it been that long?
We're old, man.
It's been a while. I don't know where you found the fountain of youth, but everyone can see the gray hair here. Definitely been in the recruitment marketing space, we'll say typically on the vendor side for most of my career. I think it will be 21 years in June, which is really wild. Been on the HireClix team now for just over 4 years. I believe St. Patrick's Day is my 4-year Clixer anniversary, which is exciting. Definitely been a breath of fresh air being part of this team here at HireClix, being able to understand clients' needs and challenges helps look at everything holistically and agnostically, from providing strategy and direction, not having to champion one product, but making the most out of products that are in our clients' arsenals has just been amazing. And the HireClix team is a pleasure to work with. I reside currently in Charleston, South Carolina, and focus typically in the Southeast and work with a very diverse client base, a lot of manufacturing, the really interesting hospitality space and retail, as well as a ton of healthcare and the pharma side as well. Just really great to understand how everyone operates in their own unique environments, and looking forward to sharing a little bit about that with you today. So without that, we'll pass it back to Mr. Costa.
Yeah, absolutely. And as Rachel mentioned, my name is Neil Costa. I started HireClix just over 11 years ago. And my background is that I've been in the online e-commerce space since 1996, and then made a transition over to Monster. So I was in the online recruitment advertising space, early 2000s, and worked on the internal advertising agency at Monster. So what we really wanted to do is take that consumer marketing, consumer brand experience, start HireClix, and bring that level of recruitment advertising rigor and discipline to the corporate TA teams and a lot of gig economy players as well. You know, one thing that's really important to know and understand about our team is that Toby kind of alluded to this, but you know, we are a services company. We are an advertising agency. We have a consulting arm as well, where we have a bunch of TA practitioners that help with complex problems like, you know, recruitment process design and technology selection. But we do those additional services because we don't want to build our own technology. And that gives us this really important position as an advisor to leaders in the TA space that, you know, we're not beholden to one technology, one ATS, one career site technology, that we can always work with clients to find the best of breed or help leverage the best of breed technology that they already have in-house. And that's a big deal. The other thing that's a really key factor to understand about our team is that, you know, when clients and prospects start talking to Nicole, Toby, and Doug, we don't have a hunter-farmer type of sales model. If you meet Toby and Nicole and Doug and you start working with them, they stay with you through the entire life cycle of your journey with HireClix. And that's a really big differentiator. I think that so many people feel like they open up and they bare their soul to a salesperson, and then that person moves on to go get more new business. And for me, as an end customer, when I was working on the internal side at Monster, I just felt like that, you know, that was a really challenging experience, right? We want to be in a position where you can open up, tell your challenges and problems to these guys and gals, and basically they work as your advisor through the good times and the bad times, and you know, help you overcome those challenges that, you know, that make you you know, a better practitioner and help you execute on your goals and really meet the challenges that your organization, especially in this particular time, is looking for you to deliver on. So with that, the last thing about HireClix I'll just tell you is that, you know, we're based outside of Boston. We are in Gloucester, Massachusetts. So, you know, we're just really excited to have people from our team that are around the country, you know, representing different parts of the industries that they serve and different geographies they serve as well. We are doing advertising in about 45 countries around the world for clients. And, you know, so really for whatever size organization you are, small, medium, whatever industry, we've probably done it, and we probably have some expertise and insights to share there. So with that, we'll jump right into those. Our goal was to answer those 6 questions, and I'm going to facilitate it, but I really want you to hear from the team here on how they work with and talk with clients. And, you know, we're not a heavy cold call organization. We are like, let's get to know you and build up a relationship. So I'll throw it out there, and again, we'll have ladies go first, but why is it important to consider working with a recruitment ad agency? So to you, Nicole.
Oh, thank you so much.
Panelist number 1. Yes, panelist number 1.
Thank you so much. I mean, we can talk about, I think, this question all day long, really. Why is it important to work with a recruitment advertising agency? But, you know, I think one of the main factors to work with a recruitment advertising agency is that no one can do it all, right? I know we like to think we can do it all in the role that we have, but really being in talent acquisition, we can't do it all, right? We can't know and facilitate and work internal strategies and also be a vendor management with 20, 30, 50 vendors, also know tracking and pixel placement and Google AdWords and what's the latest and greatest technology and vendors. And so I think the number one reason, Toby and Doug might also agree, is, you know, we're here to help support our clients so that they can concentrate on the internal strategies and get butts in seats, right, and make those hires. And so we can take a lot of that kind of unknown recruitment, marketing aspect off of their plate. So I don't know, Toby, what do you guys think?
I mean,
Did you say Tug? Did you say Tug? Was that like a
I
comment?
think I did. I think
Doug, I think
a cup of coffee. I think I
no,
did.
I think that
we're
means
gonna
you
go
go
with
first.
that. Yeah.
I think I did a new Brangelina tagline there.
Go ahead, Tug. You guys take it. Yeah.
Take it away.
I think, you're right. I mean, as companies get larger, like the company size, I mean, the TA function just gets way more complex, right? And think of it like your marketing team. Like your marketing team uses a consumer advertising agency to help, facilitate that messaging, right? And I think as your TA team grows and as your hiring needs grow, you need that, resource, right? And you need those extra arms and legs to get out there and spread the message. And like Nicole said, the tracking and the reporting, and as that orbit of vendors gets larger and larger, that becomes a full-time job. And that's why we're here to help, and jump in and be that extra set of arms, legs, eyes and ears for you, right, T?
Absolutely. It seems like today, and since we've been in this pandemic, we're jumping on go-to meetings, WebEx, Zoom, just back to back to back. And it's internal, it's external. While this has been going on, and even prior to the pandemic, there's all these buzzwords out there of AI and machine learning and programmatic, and a lot of organizations, when you're juggling many hats, from working on internal initiatives and then trying to manage all the vendors that support it, we need more hours in the day. So some of the benefits to consider working with an agency is expertise in using some of these tools for clients, and then working with an organization like HireClix, getting to know you, getting to understand your process, and essentially adding an extension of your team, some extra brain power to assist you with your TA roadmap.
Yeah, and I think one of the unique things that I'll add that we look for with people on our team that are trying to reach out to TA leaders is both all three of these guys and myself and the other sales and business development people on the team. Everybody's been on the vendor side. Everybody's represented one job board or one media property, and I think that type of perspective to have, and we look for that in a candidate who's going to start building relationships with the client, because Toby, Doug, and Nicole have all pitched TA leaders that one particular widget or that one particular technology, and so they really can give TA leaders some sort of X-ray vision on the sales pitch, right? Sometimes we hear a lot of over-promising, under-delivering, and I think that's one part of it, is their industry experience, but I think the other part is the fact that they have other clients that are also using certain technologies and certain campaign tactics and things along those lines. So it really is a unique thing, and I think we make sure that these guys take the time to get to know your business. So very good, folks. Let's move on to number 2. Whoops, I just skipped to number 3. Not cool. So what are the fundamental benefits of working with a recruitment ad agency? So, you mentioned kind of in theory, extra arms and legs, but let's get into the nitty gritty of what's happening. How are you guys executing and helping clients? And what are the benefits they get right out of the gate from working with you guys? And why don't we start with Toby this time?
Sure. I think one of the key benefits is understanding where, why, and how applicant flow comes from. Being able to measure ROI from any campaign or initiative and be able to build historical data from your ad spend really starts to paint a picture. And it's never been more prevalent than what we've seen currently in the hourly workspace with applicant flow and pay-per-click advertising in the tail end of February running through March. So, fundamental benefit is definitely working with an agency that can assist you with tying and measuring ROI specifically to your campaign and advertising initiatives.
Very cool. Nicole, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, definitely. Something that I love about working with the clients that we do have is the strategy part, actually under kind of discovering what their full potential is. So I love having our weekly or monthly calls with our clients going, what do you want your organization to look like? What do you want your strategy to look like? Give me your wish list. And we can kind of go off of that. I think now there's so many sites out there like TikTok, right? And Snapchat and Spotify and Pandora. Those sound really intimidating to a lot of companies that just might not have those resources. So I love saying, like, we can do this. Like, what's your dream list of your strategy, and we can help, right? And we'll do that research for you, and we'll get the pricing, and we'll understand the tracking, and we'll get all of that set up. That's one of my favorite things to do for our clients, right? Is kind of put together those strategies and kind of deliver on that wish list that they never thought they could execute without us. I love that part about it.
Very cool. Doug?
Yeah, that's like, I was just talking to maybe a potential client last week, and they're a fairly large organization, 10,000 employees, right? And their TA function, and this is what one of the women told me. She was like, we're just very tactical. We're not strategic. We don't have time to be strategic. And I think that really resonates because they just don't have the time to do it. And they want, like Nicole said, like, what's your roadmap? What's your vision? Let's activate you on 50 or more channels. Like, think about that. Amazon, TikTok, all these different places. Geofencing is one of the things they want to do. They want to geofence other competitors, right? They just don't have the time or expertise to do that. And the marketing team also doesn't have time to do that. So TA sort of gets left in the dust, and we're here to help. And to Toby's point, I think, and this is one thing I talk about too a lot, is like, where's your recruitment marketing spend going? Is it being spent efficiently, and what's the story behind the spend, right? And a lot of companies don't have the time to focus on that reporting and metrics. And Neil talks about this a lot. Like, someday the CFO is going to come to you and say, why are we spending $500,000 a year on LinkedIn? And why? And is it being spent effectively? And we're here to help you tell that story. So that, you're not left, looking at why did we spend all that money on LinkedIn or Indeed? And what is the story behind that? What did we get for it? And should we renew that? Right. So I think those are, some of the fundamental benefits of working. We could talk about this literally for 45 minutes, right?
Yeah. And I think that, just to add to it, I think that, you guys each mentioned tracking, and I think we take it for granted because we live and breathe the tracking part of it. But I think a lot of organizations are still resigned to the fact that they might not be able to get to that level of detail. Well, my ATS doesn't do that, or my HRIS team doesn't have the time to do that. I think that when we first started, we absolutely rolled up our sleeves and dug into how to do reporting out of Connexa and how to do it accurately. And I know that we've stepped into situations where people have a good applicant tracking system that has that functionality, but they're almost in denial. They feel like they've never been able to get to the accurate source data in the past. And, we can help figure that out. So again, when you spend $1, it's not always going to work, but you should know what happened and in order to have that explanation. And so I think that that's a really critical part of what we do. And we kind of take it for granted. It's exciting to do all the advertising part and do employer branding and, but what are the key metrics? How do you test them in a way, test those new channels that Nicole mentioned, a bunch of them? How do you test them in a smart way that is, slightly adventurous, but we're still looking to measure an ROI? And I think that's what we're kind of a good, guide to help you through those things. So very cool. Let me go to the next question. And this is really, it's a little bit of blocking and tackling, but I think I don't know what you guys think, but when we've talked to other people, sometimes they don't know, like, hey, I've been talking to Nicole or Doug or Toby, and what happened? Who else is behind this? Who else is behind the curtain, like a Wizard of Oz kind of thing? So, Doug, why don't you jump into who are the people on your recruitment advertising team?
Wow, it's kind of funny. And I was thinking about this because we've talked about this. Like, we're like the actors that are on screen. Obviously, we are now, and we get a lot of the credit. But it's really the analysts behind us that are the stars, right? The recruitment marketing analysts, they're the humans behind the operations. They're the experts in programmatic and consumer marketing tactics, and know all the ins and outs of the job feeds and the tracking and the pixels and everything. And they're the ones, and for the most part, leading a lot of the weekly, bi-weekly, monthly syncs with the clients, because they're the ones in the weeds. Like, and we'll talk about this later, but they and a lot of times the analysts, the Julias, the Norwoods, the Emmas are the ones that get called when a TA leader goes to another company too. Like, hey, I need my Lindsay, I need my Julia, to help me run my operation. So, the credit should mostly go to them, but I mean, there's other folks on the team too. Toby, you can talk about who we are, I guess, if you want, but.
Yeah, I'll jump in. I think some of the important pieces of the puzzle on the team for sure with a lot of the projects that I'm involved in is our dev studio team, which is comprised of data analysts, but it's also part of our creative and content development team. So as Nicole previously mentioned, and Neil talked about new channels and testing out new areas, besides from a direct response, a click to apply and measuring that ROI, our Dev Studio team can help use color palettes, style guides, and really put a picture out there of what your organization is like. And then with our analytics team, which is all wrapped in together, we can tell true ROI from a branding, touch attribution, awareness, and really start to paint a holistic picture. So, to mention, Doug has our analysts who are pulling the levers and running campaigns. It is really a collaboration and team approach when it comes to throwing in branding awareness along with direct response, and the Dev Studio team can paint that picture from a visual aspect and a data point as well.
Yeah.
Very cool. Nicole?
Yeah, well, sorry guys, you're stuck with us. So, if we if we have those conversations, no. So Doug, myself, Toby, a few other people on the biz dev team, we really help facilitate and nurture those relationships with our clients. And so, once we do onboarding, you're stuck with us once again, sorry. But we really help facilitate that relationship between the client and the analyst, right? We're really here to help support not only the client, but really help support the analysts too. So if they need extra support with like vendor management, tracking, analytics, just kind of getting our hands dirty there too. You have us being kind of on the senior side, knowing how to navigate sometimes choppy waters, right? Maybe, tracking is broken, or we need to talk to a vendor, or, we're in a sticky renewal situation with LinkedIn or, Indeed. We're really there as hopefully, the senior counsel to help guide those conversations and really like nurture those partnerships. And I think it was either Doug or Toby who said it too, when clients do move on, there's a lot of movement in the space. They tend to call us and say, hey, we need you here at my new company, and, we're there to help support them too. So client service, I think, is kind of our forte for sure. And putting the client first and being human and just hopefully understanding what you guys need as, TA practitioners and facilitating that conversation with the analysts and just kind of getting everyone on the same page and up to speed. So.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that as well. Like, I think this team, and Doug, Toby, and Nicole represent part of our team. I mean, there's a bunch of others as well that are excellent at what they do, and they're true, business advisors, right? I think that their job, and we try and make sure that we allocate time, not just to tell you about the services, but to invest in understanding your business. I think we become a better service provider, recruitment ad agency when we understand your business. Like, I know Toby went to the client's manufacturing facility, right? And like met with the plant managers, and we've had people go, on site and spend that time on site. And I think it's what happens is the TA leaders then, because we appreciate the business, understand the business, we can actually talk to other parts of the organization. I think, Doug, you were just one of our existing clients, you were just talking with the CIO of the organization because they're having some technical hiring challenges. And so to bring your ad agency partner in to talk to the CIO of a, publicly traded company about what we can do from a recruitment advertising perspective just shows the depth of knowledge and the depth of understanding that, the team here has when they're getting to know the, how to solve business problems. It's not an advertising problem, it's a business problem. Sometimes that when these guys are playing quarterback, that involves talking to our consulting team. And I think just being able to listen well, understand the business, and decide, which solution should I put together for my client is really where these guys, shine.
Let me, it's like, so it's such a collaboration too, like across the whole company. coming from the vendor side and coming over HireClix 5 years ago, it's such a family and it's such an umbrella of knowledge and wealth. I think that each team has, like, I can go to creative at any time and ask them for help, or their special eye. I can go to our reporting team and our analytics team. It's such a collaboration, and it just makes every client move forward so much smoothly when we have such a collective knowledge base too. I can't say enough good things. It's such a family at HireClix that, all of the ideas, it's just in like this big melting pot. It's just makes us move a lot quicker, I think, too.
Definitely agree with that. Doug, did you want to add something to that too?
Well, no, I was gonna say, it's easy to ask for help, right? It's easy to ask for help. Nobody feels, like, oh my God, I need help on this. It's easy to ask for help, whether it's creative team or the other sales team. And it gets really animated too. Like the sales G chat is always fun, full of fun things. And also the fun fact was, is the second time in 2021, I wore a collared shirt when I met with the CIO of a Fortune 100 company last week. And then today, look at this.
Yeah. Well, and the other part that I think that brings this collaborative, like, again, we're a, small but mighty firm, right? But I think that one of the things that we mentioned, we have at this point now, I'm pretty sure we have like 6 former customers. So they're former TA practitioners who are now on our team.
Yes.
And I think that says a lot, about how they, we have a lot of, people that bring us in when they go get a new TA job, but we've actually, brought on our clients as employees, and that gives us one, it's a positive vote, for our company and our culture and all that kind of stuff. But I think the other thing is that means that we have people who know what our customers want and need and struggle with, walking around or on the same Zoom and hanging out. Like, so we kind of have them to give us that proper perspective. And I think when you look at other ad agencies, that resource is just not available. Like having TA practitioners on our team that we can talk to and say, hey, I just ran into this situation. What do you think? Or what's this person, struggling with, or how have you approached a similar problem in the past is kind of a big deal.
Yep.
All right. We're going to move on to question 4. How does the process work and the 3 key factors to getting started? So if someone has said, yes, I'd like to work with a recruitment ad agency, what happens next? I think we run into a lot of confusion around that when they get fired up, they get excited, or they desperately need help. Then what do we do next? So why don't we, I forgot who's going in what order. So Nicole?
Yeah, so the process, so we definitely, it's actually pretty simple. It seems like a kind of a complex thing, but once we kind of get the NDA signed, we're ready to go. We get assigned a HireClix team. So again, you get one of us, but you also get 2, 3, 4, 5 other analysts that are on the team as well. And we do some pretty fun onboarding calls. It's a little bit of a question and answer just to get to know the client. We also have internal onboarding calls. So we also kind of educate the account team on what we've discovered during the courting process. And then we're also able to, schedule those onboarding calls so that the analysts can hear it from the partners themselves, right? And then that's when we can really dive in, really tick those issues that you're seeing as a talent acquisition professional, and then go back and map out kind of that strategy plan. So I adore the onboarding process. It's kind of a little bit of a dating, courting process to get up and running. And I think it's a good way to kick off the partnership. So kind of all the cards are on the table, and then we can kind of go from there.
Yeah,
very cool. Toby, you want to jump in next?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot more than 3 key factors, but it all is pretty simple. Discovery and understanding roadmaps, current priorities, and long-term goals throughout the course of a year, or maybe even longer, is something it's very important to us. But as we get started, understanding how you're currently operating internally as well as with your vendors is one key factor that we map out with our discovery and I guess at the starting gate. So what we can do is then pick up the reins right away and start helping as fast as possible. And while we go into a kickoff call and get things moving along, you're not missing a beat from a current initiative or campaign that you have going on or app flow. And while this is taking place, we're working on the details of configuring, tracking, and getting things set up properly. Then we move into a tail end, which is the optimization part. And this is just to keep the lights on, and then the innovation really starts to happen. One of the things that we get a lot, as we're getting started is, you're the expert. How, what would you do about this situation? And I think through our battle-tested onboarding and getting started process, we can diagnose, and then we can start to prescribe rather quickly. So it's pretty seamless.
Very cool. Doug, what else do you think we do to get things rolling?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of also depends too. It's little different wrinkles whether a client is moving over from another agency sometimes too, because they may know how the process works, and then it's easier just to slide right in. Sometimes other companies are a little bit more complex, but then sort of after that discovery phase, then this is like part of my role is connecting, understanding all the current contracts that are in place, right? Connecting with all the vendors that, the orbit of vendors that each client has. And sometimes that could be 3, sometimes it'd be 12, right? Understanding, what the vendors are doing and what their vision is for how this client should be, using their platform or product or service. Understanding renewal cycles and, how the clients are using it. And if there's, ways that we can help them take better advantage of support that they may not be taking advantage of, or, are they using all the pieces of their contract? That's a big piece of it, because that's, why companies sometimes hire us, right? To be that vendor management, that expert in that space too. So I think that's a big piece of it too. Sometimes it even means connecting with the former agency reps too, and understanding what they were doing and, what it's like to work with that client. So, everybody's different, but that's typically how the process starts and gets rolling. We're in the middle of that right now with a couple of them. So
Yeah,
a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is. It's fun to step in, and I think we've had good experience helping someone move from one agency to us. I think there is advantages to that because they know what's happening, but I think that we certainly do things our own way in some regard, because I think we're typically bringing an upgraded service compared to what they're getting, both from a responsiveness, from a tracking perspective, from an innovation and strategy perspective. So I think that just saying like, hey, I'm just going to put the same old shoe on is not what a transition looks like when you move over to us. And one of the things that we're doing that's very unique is that our team, the entire company, has gone through a DISC assessment, which is, how do we communicate and what are our priorities and values and things along those lines. And we've actually started to share that with the customers, so they know the makeup of their team. How does my, HireClix team communicate? And I think that's just kind of the nature of how we operate. Listen, like, we are open, we're transparent, and this is your team and this is how they communicate. And to the point where we've actually gone to invite customers, if they'd like, to take a DISC assessment. Our entire consulting team is DISC certified, so we can actually walk them through, have them do the DISC assessment, and then do a consultation to tell them, about that report. And I think that, again, we want to do things that are different. We want to make sure that you understand, we want to understand you, we want to understand your organization, but just that little extra, DISC assessment gives us a lot of context. And let's face it, like, because we don't have a product, because we're a service, we're building trust, and you can't demo trust, right? There's no way to do that. So you've got to, open up and share a little bit. And I think that goes a long way to building the partnerships that we have. Doug, were you going to add something else, or I don't know if you?
No, I just love that you use that all the time. You can't demo trust.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
One of the originals.
That's right. It is. So why is it important to consider working with a recruitment ad agency?
I mean, look at us. We're a fun group of people, right? No, I'm joking. I think it's important to work with the recruitment advertising agency because I think it goes back to the first question, right? You just can't do it all. And there's a lot of happening in this space right now, between tracking, analytics, AI, social media, no social media. I mean, there's just so much to keep up with. Why not use a recruitment advertising to leverage that? I think we've said this before too. Your corporate marketing team is probably utilizing an agency, right? Your finance team is probably utilizing an agency. Why should TA not utilize an agency to help support the mission of hiring the best people possible for your organization? So, Doug, what do you think?
I think that one thing that we haven't really talked about, I feel a lot of companies spend a lot of money on recruitment fees, right? And a lot of those types of companies aren't using a recruitment advertising agency. And I think that a lot of companies are missing out on candidates that they probably could have had and not had to pay a fee for with better recruitment marketing tactics. I think that's a big selling point for any recruitment advertising agency, is that, a lot of the budget that you're spending on placements could be spent on curating your own, audience and database of actual humans that you don't have to pay for. I think that's a very important point to consider. And that's, part of the conversation when you're having, chats with C-level executives in big companies, that they have a line item that is with lots of zeros for agencies, right? I think with a couple of placements, that's the argument too, with a couple of placements, a couple of dollars you spend on those placements, you can have your own audience of people. I think that's a big thing that we need to push and we need to talk about too, I think.
And you can build
the agency. Sorry about that, but it's true story.
Yeah. And those dollars could help build your brand, right?
Yeah.
And kind of starts the cycle again, and people know about your brand. And you're right. Those dollars are, inconveniently allocated to staffing firms. And, that's just kind of a challenge. With some staffing firms serve a purpose, but sometimes people are over-indexing on what they're spending on those staffing firms. Toby, you have anything else you want to add to that?
I just want to add a little bit to the third-party scenario for sure. We've been living it for the past 13 months in healthcare, the rise of the travel nursing and travel agencies. And when a healthcare provider, a healthcare organization doesn't have a partner, they're wearing many hats as well. And those travel and third party bills come in on a monthly basis, and the 13-week contracts that are skyrocketing. If you don't have the bandwidth to put your own content out there and try to grab some of those full-time people out there, you're going to get overrun. Healthcare expenses skyrocket. So, having the ability to have a partner that can help position your current opportunities and try to get some of these nurses to consider full-time employment is something that's been really important with some of our healthcare providers and partners so far during this pandemic. Another area is, in manufacturing specifically. There's a lot of rural areas out there, and these manufacturing plants, they totally lean on and use the temp agencies as a crutch because they don't have their own, recruitment marketing plan. They're not managing pay-per-click campaigns on Indeed to try to get app flow. So just a few things to consider bringing on an extension to your team and helping some visions come to light, which is reducing some of those fees.
Very good. Yeah, go ahead, Doug.
Maybe one more thing, and this is with a few of my clients specifically. Centralizing decentralized recruiting functions is a big part of our role. You have a corporate, recruitment marketing sort of hub or recruitment hub, but then you have disparate business units doing all their own recruiting, and that's really tough to build back. And then you have rogue people starting accounts on Indeed and buying recruiter seats. And, I think that's part of the discovery process too, to find out are you centralized versus decentralized, and what's your wish there? And a lot of companies wish to be centralized. It's easier for billing, it's easier for contracts. And I think understanding that and trying to centralize that and bring everybody under one sort of either budget or umbrella, or one message, one unified recruiting message, is a big piece too to why it is important to consider working with a company like ours.
Yeah, it's so important to have like a similar message, because it can get out of hand when it gets decentralized. But some organizations run their P&Ls in a distributed fashion. So I think messaging is important to have in a consistent way, but we've had to, be flexible and adapt how we support clients from both a central and a decentralized perspective. It's more challenging, but I think we've found some really good methods to help those decentralized organizations get what they need, still leverage the knowledge of a center of excellence, and execute better in the field. So I think, is this our last one, guys? Last question. So I'll ask each of you, because I know you all have customers that have moved on from the initial customer they worked at and have brought you all into the next customer they worked at. So what keeps the customers coming back to HireClix?
They know exactly what they're going to get, right? Full transparency, honesty, help, right? That's exactly what, when my clients come back, they know what they're going to get. They're going to get that extension. They're going to get that help. They're going to get that transparency. Great relationships with most of the vendors, right? We have that. And I think that's why they come back to us, and they know that we're going to be there to help, and we're going to jump right in, get our hands dirty, and help them look good. That's the idea.
Yeah. Toby?
Yeah, I definitely agree with Doug 100%. The transparency, the good, the bad, the positive, the negative, we wear it all on our sleeves and make sure they understand, what the partnership's about. Helping the client shine, helping, I think we talked about it, their dreams and their wishes, helping those come to fruition is something that we take a lot of pride in. And we've seen it many, many times that maybe another opportunity with another organization opened up, and like we said before, we get an email, we get a LinkedIn message, we get a text. Our team, the analysts, will get the same a lot of times from folks. Hey, we need help here, and this is the environment we're in. We've tackled these challenges before. Let's roll up our sleeves and do it again.
Very cool. Nicole?
I 100% with both you guys. I also, it's the incredible customer service. I think that keeps a lot of our clients coming back to us when they do move on to a new role. One thing that hits home for me is the reporting and untangling the reporting. So we'll have a client who moves on to a new adventure, and they get logged in. They get down and dirty with the data, and they just can't untangle it, right? They don't know left from right. They have a CRM system, they have an ATS system, there's widgets everywhere, there's AI, and they just are going, oh my gosh, what did I get myself into? And then that's when we usually get the back signal, right? SOS, we need your help here. And then we can start all over, right? We can untangle all of that data for them and get them up and running and to be successful in their new role. That hits home for me. I've had a couple clients who we did that at their first, our first interaction, our first partnership. They moved on and kind of ended up in the same predicament with reporting, and we were really able to help them out. And I think that's what really keeps our clients coming back to us. One more thing to add to, and I think our responsiveness as a team is like top notch. I always kind of make fun of us, if you send an email out to an alias, and you don't hear from anyone within an hour, like send help, because there's at least 3 or 4 or 5 people on this email alias to help support our clients. And really, if you don't hear from us, send us a text message. We might be in trouble. That's how quickly we will at least acknowledge, your request and get working on that. So customer service, I think, is just, world class here. So.
Dare to say zealous service? Is that what it is?
Dare to say zealous. I love that word. I didn't want to overuse it, but
Zealous service.
All right. You guys have anything else you want to add to that? I think the proof's in the pudding. Like, we've got so many people at this point in our portfolio that, have come, a client portfolio that have come from a prior client. It's really, it's the best gift we can get, and the best, recognition that we're doing and acknowledgement that we're doing a good job. So, as the founder, it's amazing to see the vision and the commitment to support pay off. And, like Toby said, like we're trying, we're backstage, right? Our job is to make those clients look good. And I think we do a really good job making that happen. So let's see. So questions. Rachel, I don't know if you have any questions that have come in, but it would be great to take the last few minutes of the webinar and address those.
We do have a few questions. I just want to say thank you guys. It's always fun listening to you guys chat. Very informative. Our first question is, I know we touched on the transition of starting with an agency, but how fast can we get that started?
Ooh, let's go.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Start
Doug,
right
you wanna take
now.
that one?
Immediately.
Yeah. I mean, Doug, what is more specifically than immediately, you want to talk about like just kind of maybe a situation where you've had to move quickly and,
Yeah, I mean that honestly, a lot of times that when we start, onboarding a client, it's hair on fire. We needed help 2 weeks ago. So everything that we talked about in that onboarding process is fast tracked, right? Connecting with the vendors. Sometimes there's a renewal, like you find a lot of times too, that there's a renewal coming up in 2 weeks, right? And there's you have to autopsy data and figure it out and find out who the rep is and understand what's going on. And loop in all the stakeholders on the client side. So yeah, I mean, it's we try to get going as fast as possible. Yeah, as soon as you sign that contract, there's a team that's assigned, and that's when Rachel starts to jump in and coordinate everything. I mean, that sometimes can happen in a couple days. And we're ready to go.
cool. Nicole, do you want to answer that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we move, echo what Doug said. I mean, we move up as quickly as the client needs us to move, right? So if it's a slower onboarding process, maybe they're coming over from another agency, we'll stay in step with that cadence. But if they're hair on fire, like Doug said, we'll make that happen within in 48 hours, we can be on an onboarding call.
Yeah.
That same day, we can be sending emails and communication out to vendors for renewals. So we really take the cue from the client on how quickly they want to be onboarded. We've onboarded people in 48 hours. I mean, it's, quick and dirty, and, let's get going and the paperwork going, and, contracts negotiated. But we really, try to stay on cadence with what the client is requesting. So.
Very cool.
No.
Toby, you want to pile on anything there?
Yeah, just a couple quick things. I think most recently from an agency switching to the HireClix team, we did changing of how vendors are ingesting job content from scrapes to feeds in a very rapid time frame, and then went and backtracked after the switch was made, so they didn't miss a beat from an applicant flow perspective to bring over the tracking. But the biggest thing to look at there is understanding quickly the why of the change, and that helps us really pinpoint on what we can prioritize to get them up and running as fast as possible. And it's all hands on deck.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Rachel, whoever asked that question, give him my number. I'm ready to help.
Yeah. Excellent.
I will. Sort of similar. I work with another agency and have noticed a lack of innovation. How do you approach a transition from another agency to HireClix?
So Toby, why don't you start with that one? I know you're very focused on being strategic and innovative. So
Very strategic. A lot of times we see when that conversation comes to light of stagnant, relationships sometimes can kind of get stuck in a rut. And when there's not a level of new or what's next, then you're just on the hamster wheel. So, we've been pushing the envelope as far as we possibly can over the past 13 months during the pandemic, with figuring out ways to stay cost effective, competitive, as well as still be able to experiment and test other channels and different strategies. So that just really comes through more frequent communication, not just, hey, we ran these campaigns for 30 days and this is what we got for it. Just putting more high touch, more frequency communication, and understanding, goals and needs and initiatives that are coming in specifically. So I would say adding another layer of sophistication is improving communication with your agency partner, as well as making sure you understand what's available to you and why it's suggested. and then making a plan specifically to experiment and A/B test new strategies, and maybe have a cadence. I have a couple clients where we work on initiatives on a quarterly basis from a testing perspective specifically, and then a couple others where we're trying a new channel every month at a minimum, if not multiple new channels at a month at a minimum. And that's just by monitoring app flow at the rec level, so we can optimize the budget best as possible to create that window for experimentation. Definitely adds to being strategic.
Nicole, you want to?
Yeah, that's a hot topic for sure. I think that, definitely echo what Toby said. I also think that when agencies sometimes hide behind their own technology, they get complacent. And something where we stand alone on our own is that, we don't own or produce any technology. We're not a programmatic house. We don't have engineers building tools to push out to our clients. And so it's all managed through HireClicks. I mean, we're definitely for programmatic and we understand it and we love it. But, there's also people behind it, that smart people that have to make it work as well too, right? So we really want to make sure that, our goals are aligned, and you also really want to trust like the account team, right? Like Toby was saying too, as well, you want to make sure that those are all aligned too. So, having smart people behind the campaigns, running the campaigns, understanding the vendor management and having those partnerships, I think play a big role in having a successful, agency relationship. So.
Yeah.
Doug, you want to chime in?
I think, that's all great points. And I just think transparency too, like Nicole said, sometimes other firms are hiding behind their technology, and it's like a black box, and it's going to work whether you're going to spend or not. And I think that there's a transparency factor too. Like if you're transitioning from another agency, they're moving for a reason, right? And you need to make sure that that is the last time they consider moving to another agency. The service aspect of it, the programmatic aspect of it, not just hiding behind a buzzword, but actually practicing it, right? And I think that's the biggest part about that transition, is like something occurred for them to want to switch, right? And you need to make sure that that never happens again, and then make sure that they have the the resources and the technology that they had with that other agency, or maybe it's something different. I mean, you just it all comes in the discovery, but sometimes it happens during an RFP, and you don't even know if you're going to get the business, but most of the time, and you guys just got to make sure that customer is treated the way they should be treated. I think,
I just want to throw in there also, sorry to make this long, understanding the org structure of the team that we're supporting and partnered with is something extremely important to the strategy aspect. Understanding if you have full cycle recruiters, understanding if there's specific sourcers, understanding the folks in the trenches that are the receiving applications and or sourcing definitely helps with strategy and introducing new services and staying fresh.
Yeah, I think that sometimes it's just, like you mentioned, relationships ebb and flow. And I think that if you haven't put the time in to learn about your customer and to build trust, then, when it's bad, it can be really bad. And I think that, we really try and, lock arms, make sure that we have a cultural fit with the client. I think we found over time that like the clients that we, have a good relationship with and connect with the mission, it's been really beneficial. So good responses, guys. All very proud of all of you, for who you are and how you take care of our customers. We just have a few minutes left, and Rachel, I think we're all done with questions, right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay, so I'll just leave it with, I'd like to end with like one thing. One of the things that we used to do before the pandemic was we used to spend time in the field hosting these networking lunches and dinners, and that's how we would kind of connect with people and get to know people and find some of the most amazing customers in the world, because we could talk to them, right? And so with the absence of that over the last year and a half or so, and we're not sure when we'll get back to it, I guess I'd ask each of you guys one last question. What can you do to help a TA leader, in your role, and what would you like them to know about Nicole, Toby, and Doug as we sign off here? Nicole?
That's such a nice question, Neil. Something I guess you can take away is that I really truly want to see all of our partners and clients succeed. And it is really my goal to make it as pleasant of an experience working with HireClix as possible. And I really do enjoy what we do. I really enjoy talent acquisition. I really enjoy recruitment marketing. I think it is part of how the world goes around. There's three big choices in your life, who you marry, where you live, and what job you have. And it's an honor to be able to help support talent acquisition teams and to help people find jobs. So I really do love the space that we're in.
Very cool. Doug?
I want Keith Garrett to know that we do work with RPOs because he asked a question, a third question. Hey, listen, being in this industry for 21 years, I've seen a lot of transformation in the recruitment marketing space, from the days of Career Mosaic and Monster and Hot Jobs and all this, to Career Builder and all these other technologies where companies were really limited as to what they could do when it came to recruitment advertising. And I remember the day that I met Neil. I was with Toby at a conference, and Neil had this idea for just a different kind of agency. And we were drawn, Toby and I, right? Obviously, we were drawn to that. And, I love helping people. I love helping, sometimes people try to ask what I do. I'm like, I help jobs find people, like that's what we try. That's what we do. We help the right roles find people. And sometimes it's not just on job boards and professional networks. Sometimes it's taking that message to the candidate themselves where they're comfortable consuming information. Then, when that works and a client is happy, that's gratifying, right? And that's why we do this. That's why this is my last job, because this is what I love to do. It's just so much fun.
Very cool. Toby?
Stole my thunder there a little bit, Doug.
Hey,
Sorry.
That's
Who
okay.
last is tough in this one, yeah.
It's all good. Just had my 4-year Clixer anniversary. We talked about it previously. We've all championed single products and solutions on the vendor side. This has been the most fulfilling career choice place that I've ever landed. And hashtag last job ever is the motto for sure. We get to truly, when the opportunity presents itself, partner with our clients, understand the goals, work on timing and execution, and we see every scenario that you can ever imagine with the most diverse skill sets and job markets ever. And losing is okay, winning is fantastic, and going on the journey with our clients is truly just amazing. So Clixer Life, you'll see that as a hashtag if you follow us on LinkedIn or certain areas. It's a state of mind.
It's a phenomenon.
Well, very cool. Thank you all so much for sharing your stories and your experience. And like I said, if hopefully people have enjoyed the content of this webinar, and we are, please follow us on LinkedIn and check out our culture. As you heard a lot about Clixer Life, there's a lot of fun stuff out on LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram. And I think that please connect with us on LinkedIn as individuals as well. We're here to answer questions and figure out if there's a way we can help. So, we appreciate the time and look forward to chatting with you, and hopefully someday look forward to seeing people in person again. So thanks so much, and appreciate you guys. Thank you for taking the time. Thanks so much, Rachel, too.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye, guys.